It may be less spectacle than usual, less comedic than usual, and less, well, X-Men than usual, but there's no question Logan is the hero's best movie yet, and it relies on some of the very best Marvel comic stories to do it. We've put the movie under microscope to guarantee fans don't miss a single relevant detail, secret nod to the devoted fans, or reference to the larger cinematic tradition director James Mangold is pulling from. Oh, and Deadpool. Hero Logan Easter eggs only true fans understood. Caliban. The character played by actor Stephen Merchant isn't given a name until well into the story, but he's a key player in a number of X-Men stories, including those centering around the group's first run-ins with Apocalypse. His name is Caliban, and while the version seen in Logan is similar in that he's inherently good if mistreated and able to track mutants, there are some key differences, starting with the fact that the movie version, like the comics, is an albino, but his aversion to sunlight is more about fearing society's views of him than the fear of being burned. Also, Caliban's ability to track mutants is implied to be an amplification of his sense of smell in the film, also granting him the insight to see that Logan is physically ill. In the original comics, Caliban used his ability to simply sense mutants to track them, using the skill to assemble the underground community known as the Morlocks. A younger version of Caliban also appeared as a mutant recruiter and information broker in X-Men Apocalypse, but the connection between the two isn't clear, timelines and all that. Donald Pierce. It's hard to know what to make of the movie's villain, or even if he is the movie's villain, when actor Boyd Holbrook slips into Logan's limousine asking him about a mystery woman. His business card reveals that he works security for a company called Alkali Transigen and is named Donald Pierce. The name is pulled directly from the comics, but his role is quite different. Originally, Donald Pierce appeared as a top-ranking member of the Hellfire Club of Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw, the villains of X-Men First Class. In their first encounter with the X-Men, Donald was shown to have had cybernetic enhancements when Wolverine and later Colossus destroyed his arm to expose the robotics beneath it. Greenwood Cemetery. The image of Wolverine leaning against a tree and downing a bottle of alcohol in the rain had many fans speculating about the death of an X-Man or X-Woman. In the end, Logan was only there as a limo driver, but it was still an Easter egg in hiding. The funeral shown is at Greenwood Cemetery, a fairly famous wrestling site in the Marvel Universe, even if the movie relocated it pretty drastically. In the comics, the cemetery is located in Brooklyn, New York, not the southwestern US setting of most of Logan. Still, it's a serious nod to fans, as the place holds more than a few key members of Marvel's past. In Deadpool Too Soon, the funeral is the burial site for Forbush Man. In the Ultimates 2 universe, it's also the memorial site for Steve Rogers, with a massive statue erected in his image. And in the realm of the Fantastic Four, Susan Richards had the honor of presiding over her own funeral at Greenwood, burying a version of her who had traveled back from the future to complete one last heroic mission before her time was up. X-23. The film takes some liberties with the details of Laura Kinney's origin story, but the basic premise is that of the comics. Wolverine's DNA is obtained and used to create a genetic clone. Well, not a clone, but a genetic twin, since DNA was duplicated to account for a corrupted Y chromosome. In the film, that process is simplified for the sake of being delivered in a single sentence. Wolverine's DNA was combined with an egg and grown in the womb of disenfranchised prisoner of Transigen. The result was the same though, as a girl named Laura with all his superpowers and the same number of claws, just dispersed differently. In the comics, Laura is actually grown in the womb of the doctor who solved the riddle of her creation, Dr. Sarah Kinney. Dr. Xander Rice. It's Donald Pierce who spends most of the film pursuing Logan and Laura, but it's eventually revealed that he's simply a dog at the end of a leash. The man holding the leash is no murderer or monster at all. At least he doesn't appear to be one. That man's name is Dr. Xander Rice, the chief scientist of Alkali and the mastermind behind the entire X-23 project that produced Laura and her fellow subjects. That's the same person responsible in the comics, including one personal detail that's only revealed in the film's final scenes. When Logan is close to the end and brought face to face with Rice, it's established that Xander is following in his father's footsteps, with that Dr. Rice being instrumental in the creation of Weapon X, the version seen in X-Men Apocalypse. Movie fans already got to see how messy Logan's escape was when a young Jean Grey and Scott Summers let him loose, and Xander's father was among the personnel slaughtered by Logan on his way out, just like the comics. Mutants of Yesterday and Tomorrow. The collection of young mutants grown from existing DNA make your watches downright mandatory, since no single viewing can scan every bit of Transigen footage. In fact, take a closer look, and fans might be able to see which mutants from the movies were used as the framework for these new mutants. There's the Pyromancer reminding fans of Pyro in X2, and even one wielding cold breath, and not to Iceman himself. One name that can be made out in the files Logan reads through, concerning the children knows that the original mutant tissue belonged to Christopher Bradley, always known as Bolt, played by Dominic Monaghan in X-Men Origins Wolverine. The clearest nod to the comics likely comes in Laura's friend, the de facto lead of the children, named Richter. It's a reference to Julio Esteban Richter, the mutant known as Rick for short, and so named for his ability to generate earthquakes at will. He was one of the original New Mutants and an original member of X-Force. We can't say fans will get to see that career on film, considering the world those mutants are escaping into, but we can always hope. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, press the subscribe button for more awesome videos. And for more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.